There we go.
We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 AWC announcement for the beginning of the start of the season. I'm Shannon, and I am a fantasy romance author, and I have a passion for writing about broken characters who face adversity to become better versions of themselves, and there may or may not be dragons, but there's always love to find. And I'm also the founder and conference chair of the Authortube Writing Conference, the AWC, for 2025. We're going to talk about the things that have changed for next year, and we'll reveal dates of the conference, and some guests or some reveals as well. So yeah, I'm going to pass it to Margaret, who's much better at intros than I am.
Welcome, everybody. Hello and howdy and good evening, good morning for everyone across the globe, which I'm sure is the viewing audience today for our first announcement stream. What is the Authortube Writing Conference? So for anyone who's not familiar with the AWC's raison d'être, which I love that Shannon gave me the French to say. The Authortube Writing Conference, AWC, is about bringing people together from all aspects of the writing and the book publishing process. This conference is an opportunity to get inside the world of writing craft, traditional and indie publishing, and to connect writers, authors, and professionals who all work toward adding great literature and knowledge to our world's depository. So that is our mission statement, and we're just putting that out there front and center for everyone to know what we're after. And me personally, my name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy, sometimes author. My YouTube channel is Margaret Pinard, and I'm very excited to be releasing a book this fall after like 5 years of having an actual novel, and I'll be pairing it with an author interview series. So look forward to that on the YouTube channel. On this call, we'll also be talking about the VOL call, which stands for volunteer call, and we'll finish by revealing our special guest speakers. And these are specific terms, so you'll get to know them as we roll out our live stream today. Devin, out to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Devin Gambrell, and I write fantasy and steampunk with snarky female leads and a splash of romance. So we did switch up the logo last time around, but this time we kept the same logo. We just changed the year on it, so it stays a little more standard. But as far as the 2025 conference dates, it's going to be June 27th and 29th of next year. And we're also going to talk about some of the changes that we have coming up. And if you have any questions, please make sure you mark it with a Q so we can pick those out, okay? And Shannon's going to go into next.
Yeah. And, hello to everyone in the audience. Thank you so much for coming. We've got Anita and Sarah, Adega, hello, Kat, Andy, Kat Paul Rosales, hello. Eloise, I missed you there at the top, sorry. Hello. And Kay, hello, welcome.
Got all these wrenches.
Yeah, and I do want to say the French line that I gave you, Margaret, I stole it from you from last year's script when you put it in.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, she said that she wrote this in last year, so I'll just give it back to her. She can change it if she wants to.
Perfect.
So after this last AWC conference of 2024, which you can still catch all of those in the playlist, and lots of great videos. I'm still going through some of them. But after that, the team and I, we got together and we looked at, what has worked and what hasn't worked over the last couple of years. And we also looked at some of the feedback that came through and things that people were saying during the conference, because sometimes we were in different places and we heard different things. So we were trying to think about how could we make some of these changes. And we've incorporated those changes into the Authortube Writing Conference 2025 guide, which is now linked down below. I put it down there, but if you came to the live stream, before like 10 minutes before the show, it wasn't there yet. It's like I got up there like 5 minutes before the show started. But it's also going to be dropped in the chat here in a little bit, and it is on the website as well. Actually, I may not have made that page live yet, but I'll be checking that as soon as this is over here. But yeah, so some of those changes, one of the first things that we did is that we reinforced this idea throughout the guide a little bit. And this was something Margaret and I worked on from last year, which is, we give a full hour to the speaking spots. and except for those for speakers, which those are those with 500 subscribers or fewer. But to the special guest speakers and guest speakers, they have an hour time slot to present in. And we have found over the last couple of years that, some of the speakers tend to go over. And so last year we thought we'd fix that by saying max of a 50-minute presentation. So that would give them 10 minutes to do their 5-minute Q&A and then end the stream. But that still didn't seem to work very well. So I don't know exactly what wording we used, but it wasn't as strong as the wording that we have now. Let's see, for last year, it said it said a full hour is given to special guest speakers and guest speakers. A session should not exceed an hour. So this time we put in, for special guest speakers and guest speakers, a full hour is designated for each session, which includes at least 25 minutes, but not more than 50 minutes of core material. So there is still that 5 minutes Q&A afterward, but then that's something else that we added to that is that there has to be at least 5 minutes given to a session break, so that there is a break between each presentation from the different hours. So that's one of the big things that we try to work on the language a little bit more to make it more clear that we are trying to be respectful of speakers' time slots and those who follow other speakers.
Yes. And so hopefully that's clearer for people. And what we wanted to cut down on was the stress of people finishing up and getting to their next place, and the stress of the organizers who are trying to manage the chat and the information flow, and any angst that goes along with like being a timekeeper, because angst is good in romance novels, but not during conferences. Ask me. I stayed up until 2 a.m. reading a romance novel. It was so good. All right, so we've got the 2025 guide for AWC in the chat, and Shannon worked very hard on that, so that will have all the new information. One of the other changes that we've got in the 2025 guide is the time requirements for speakers. So these, to remind everyone, are special spots reserved for people with channels for fewer than 500 subs. And what we thought was that they needed more time. So instead of the 20 minutes, it's going to be 30 minutes. New time slot on the schedule, session 13 for speakers, is 1.5 hours, which gives dedicated blocks to speakers with 30-minute time slots each half hour. So the breakdown of that is that at least 10 minutes of the at least 10 minutes of the 30 is going to be the presentation, going up to 20 minutes max. So that leaves 5 minutes for Q&A and the 5-minute session break. So hopefully it's like a slider rule, and you could sort of play with those things as you need, but it gives you a little bit more room to expand on a topic. And we had so many great speaker topics last year that we hope this will make people more comfortable applying for that, because even if you're a small channel, you can have great ideas. So looking forward to those.
Yeah. So because we did change, or because we did make the session 13, that's now an hour and a half. It did change the Sunday schedule. So on Sunday, we're going to have a 30-minute break at 12:30, and then the conference is going to extend an hour. So the closing session that used to end at 3 o'clock is now going to end at 4. But everyone needs that little break because we're all like running around trying to catch the other streams, and it gives time if there's a little bit of a rollover. So instead, we'll get the last call near the end of the closing session for all the feedback forms, which is what we use to enter for the giveaways. And the giveaway winners will be announced the next day on Monday instead of at the end of the conference. That way everyone can enjoy the wrap up, and we have more time to organize the giveaways and give a proper, a more fun
closing session.
Solved.
Yes.
Solved. We solved it.
Yes.
Oh.
So those are all the major changes for the next AWC, which is, in the packet. So you can definitely read it over. You can always send us any questions if you have them, Authortube Writing Conference @gmail.com. And if you have any questions right now, go ahead and pop in the chat. I don't think I see any questions yet.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
There's more people came in. You have Sarah Waldy. Hello, how's it going? Elaine. Sam, who had that funny comment, yes, more time to be nervous.
No theme. Sam's question down at the bottom, is there a theme next year? And no. we're not restricting it in any way.
Yeah.
So
At this point, I don't think we're ever going to have another theme for the conference. We've kind of talked about it. We might do something. We've kind of toyed around with the idea, but we didn't really flesh it out last year, and we haven't fleshed it out this year either. Of like having maybe a theme that's not for the presentation, but just overall theme, like different, Harry Potter houses or something. I don't know. People had different ideas. This was like 2 years ago when people were throwing out ideas that maybe it's a dragon theme this year. So you might just have like a dragon in your background, or maybe you're wearing a dragon shirt, whatever it is. Something fun like that. But I don't know. We haven't really fleshed out any ideas along those lines. But yeah, I would say probably we're never going to have another theme. That would be my thought.
Yeah. We've got volunteers to solicit, and I mean that in the best possible way. So we've got dates to lay on y'all. First, we've got application dates. So announcement. The applications will open November 15th and close January 15th. So this is another change from last year. You will have more time. I think people's thoughts might be changing in terms of focusing on nano this year, what with all the changes going on over there. So maybe it won't be as much of a determinant for our process, but we're breaking it up so that it's in some of November, it's in some of December, it's in some of January. So no matter what you are paying attention to, whether it's family, whether it's travel, whether it's nano, whether it's a launch, you'll have some dedicated period to focus on writing up your pitch and getting it into the AWC. And just a note, we are available, your friends are available, other authors are resources. Definitely brainstorm that pitch, develop it, maybe bounce it off some other people to see if it sounds like something that would be really an attention grabber or your area of expertise, and write it on in. It's very simple. Don't be afraid of the application. It's a Google form. It's like 2 questions and a lot of like identifying information. You just have to be someone with a channel and a good idea. And then sort yourself into whichever category or categories you want to apply through, as we said. And all this information is in the AWC 2025 guide, which is linked in the chat. So feel free to peruse that at your leisure, discuss your pitch ideas with folks, and November 15th, they will be open, and you'll be hearing about it from us on social media. So beware. The Ides of November, that's the date. Volunteers. So there is no opening date for volunteers except other than today. So volunteer season officially open, and it's not like tourist season. It doesn't mean we can shoot you. It just means please start feeding into that form and let us know what you would like to help out with. So there are lots of different jobs, from things that are one-off, like standalone duties, to things that are every so often we ask you, can you help share, things like that. So whether you're interested in being part of the street team, which you may know if you're a reader and writer, is someone who helps get out the word on social media, or whether you want to be a moderator, and we can always use more moderators, which are people who are in the chat during the conference. So that is that weekend only. Lots of different jobs. They're all compartmentalized and explained pretty clearly in this Google form that is on your screen right now. So if you've got questions about that, do ask away, or email AWC if it's some sort of sensitive question. But yes, vol call is open and applications open November 15th. So coming right up in a couple months. Devin, what do we got on Discord?
Discord, yes, we are going to open up Discord not just for street teams, volunteers, or anything like that. We're going to open up to chats and speakers and everyone who has questions or just wants a form of community. Sorry, I just completely lost my spot.
Okay, I do the same thing. It's hard for it to multitask, I think, on the back end.
Yeah, so where did I miss it? There it is. Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah.
Here is
definitely.
the link for Discord. It's not all set up yet. We are still building out the channels and everything like that. So definitely pop in and check things out. And we look forward to chatting with you in there.
And note that the link does expire. It's not something that I know that we can change. It's just when you go grab the link, it tells you it expires in 7 days.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's basically like a chat window and you have lots of different doors you can go through. So once you establish that you are on Discord and you're connected to the AWC door, you can always go in and chat with people, either as a volunteer or, as Devin said, as just a member of the community who's maybe talking about pitches or maybe asking, is it really hard to be a proposal reviewer? Is it really hard to do this job? Whatever. Because people will tell you, no, we're all lovely. There you go. You heard
If
it
you have
here.
any questions about, doing live streams or anything like that, there's going to be a bunch of YouTubers in there to help answer any of those questions because it's all new, especially if, you're just jumping into YouTube and you want to be a part of the conference.
For sure.
Well, before we get into the next thing, which is talking about our special guest speakers, do we want to answer some questions first?
Yeah, I saw one fly by.
And there was I think 3 of them.
Sam says, are you going to have a list of what you'd like to see like last year? So that is in the guide. I don't know if Shannon changed much. She may have added a couple.
I didn't.
Yeah, so it's basically ideas to start you brainstorming. Sam asks, because I'm terrible at narrowing what I want to do down. Yeah, well, I don't know if it'll help you narrow, but it might help spark an idea, and then you can follow it down the rabbit hole.
And then do we want to do the idea of awards idea that was put out? Well, I really love this idea. We just ran out of time to really go through it. So I would love to. And I think if I remember right, Kat, didn't you say you thought you'd lead it or something? But for this next year?
Hey, Kat. Kat said, I would be willing to work on that and willing to work on it still. Just will have a lot longer, so can happen. Yeah. Cool. So this is one of the things that I saw a few comments on in the Discord. So I'm sure it's archived there somehow, maybe just to do a keyword search would bring it up. But in case you don't know, we had the idea and some of the folks contributed fun comments about when you're going through the conference to make it interactive, we can be shouting out different people by giving them awards like best stress under tech pressure or best costume or best, editing sound effects or something like this, whatever you saw. So there were lots of other better ideas. That's just what I'm bringing up right now, but that would be fun. So if you guys have ideas, tell Kat. Laura.
Yeah, it's in the the link has been dropped in the chat, but it's also in the description box. Are you talking about the guide packet? Because we have a couple different.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
So it'll have a 2025 AWC guide in the URL because there's special URL that Shannon custom made. And if you find that in the chat, that will be your source of all the information. It'll give you all the links for the website and socials, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just going to bring up the Authortube Writing Conference Facebook group because we have one of those too. So I can share that in the chat.
I think it might be pinned.
The next question.
Yeah, it's pinned in our Discord too.
Try to make easy reference places, but yeah.
Is that the last question?
We have one more question from Laura. Will these chat questions and links be up after the live?
Yeah, it will.
Yes.
It does take a little bit of time to process,
right?
But it will pop up within an hour or two usually.
Mm-hmm. YouTube, got a YouTube.
Yeah. Yes. All righty. So I think we're ready to move. That was the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll move into our special guest speakers, which I don't know if this one's going to, I haven't checked these, so they'll probably cover the middle of the screen. Yes, it did. Is Dale L. Roberts is our first special guest speaker. Now, he was a special guest speaker last year. And he was our very first keynote speaker. He was actually the first person I pitched the idea to about the Authortube Writing Conference when it was just a seed in my brain. It wasn't anything even written down. And then since that first year, he has talked about how he has really appreciated the conference and what it's bringing to the community. And he told us after this last conference that he wants to be a permanent part of the conference moving forward. So he also took over as our sponsorship coordinator role that we were like, we're never going to fill this thing because nobody wants to do it. So yeah, and so he'll be speaking. And then he suggested that we reach out to people who have spoken in the past as special guest speakers, and he noted one specifically that I thought was really cool. And I thought, oh, we should bring other people back. He said, yeah. So I reached out to the one person he suggested, and she's already come back and said yes. And that is Sarah Cannon. So she's coming back as special guest speaker.
Very exciting. And
then the last one that we have for sure, which I think we're aiming for 4 special guest speakers. We may stick with 3 if we don't find another person that fits, if nobody else can do it, or if we, whatever the reasons. But the last person is someone who I think I was learning more about her in 2022. We had already had our special guest speakers lined up, but I asked if she wanted to speak at the conference, and she did. And it was great. I love every time she talks. She's spoken at 20 Books at 50K. I got to see her there speaking, and I got to meet her. And then for last year, and I had said, hey, I would love to have you as a special guest speaker next year. So that was for 2023. She's like, yeah, reach out to me. So I did. And she's like, oh, those dates don't work for me. I'm already going to a conference. Reach out to me next year. So I reached out to her this year, and she said, yes, it doesn't interfere with anything. So our last special guest speaker we have on the is Becca Syme, if you guys are familiar with her.
Fantastic.
I talk a lot about intuitive writing during my writing sprints, and this is where I got it from, was from Becca Syme. It's the idea of an intuitive writer. Everything she says is me. Like, I didn't understand me as a writer. Like, I felt like I was not exactly a pantser, but I don't plan things, but I do plan things, but not on paper. And so intuitive writing it fit. That was me, and made me feel like, yeah, there is a me out there. There is something for me. So. Yeah.
And she's big on the strengths finder, which I feel like is what we're trying to do with the conference as well, because you've got people with different strengths who are focusing on different areas and trying to slot everyone who wants to help with what they will do best. So Becca Syme's like living in action. I love it.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah. Good stuff.
And she says, if you have like any number of these things in your top 5 for your Clifton strengths, and one of them is achiever, she said, you'll be the one that's doing things like conferences or meetings. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Doer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yay. So special guest speakers announcements out early. Awesome sauce. We're going to talk about giveaways. So as you heard from Devin, the schedule is going to change. We're going to have the closing at the end of the conference, and then wait a day to do all the announcements. So now for the back end. We're open to sponsorships as well as giveaways. And so giveaways are what you're familiar with from the ends of previous conferences with the spinning wheel and everything. So that'll be a bit different. But we encourage people to apply, donate, contribute to the giveaway program. Basically, this is giving prizes for people who send in comments on the feedback forms. So this is a way for us to get feedback and reward people for watching and contributing and basically helping us make this conference as good as it can be, or better, right? And so these are things like Amazon gift cards, people's books, handcrafted book products, writing merchandise, journals, stationery, etc., like bookish care packages, because that's what people would love to receive, right? So we're going to drop the link in the chat. Yep, there we go. So if you have something that you would love to participate in the giveaway program, you can sign up via that link. If it's your book, you're also getting your book out there to possibly a person who may want to read it. And this doesn't affect your application for the conference at all, but you are helping the AWC community by making it interesting for folks to put their lottery ticket in the drawing. This is different from sponsorships. If you've got a lead on sponsorships, Dale is now our sponsorship coordinator. And that's going to be like bigger dollar amounts to help us do bigger things like website prices increasing, etc. And also the sponsorships are more in the category of someone who will get a special guest speaker slot to do a presentation. And like last year, perhaps a demo if it's some sort of application that needs sharing or tutorials or things like that. So I thought that was a great innovation last year. But yeah, sponsorships.
So, and I didn't put this into the script because I didn't know I was going to do a form until yesterday. So when I started thinking about the giveaway program, the way it's always worked in the past is that, people would reach out to us or we'd reach out to people like, hey, would you like to give to giveaways? And everything was done through email. Well, for those of you who have been on the back end with the AWC, we do a ton of emails. So I thought we should just have a form so we don't have to send an email and be like, well, we need this. We still need this. Well, do you want to do this? Do you want to offer this? Do you how much does this cost? So now we have a form. It's all right there. It's going to gather all the information we need. That's going to make it easy for us on our side to be able to get all of the,
Streamline, woohoo!
And put it together. And it's already going to be put into a spread Excel sheet, right? Or the Google sheet, which was what we were doing. We were putting it into a Google sheet and I was like, this is so much work for us. And it's kind of hard, trying to track all this. So that's definitely good. And I would make the note that there are 3 different ways of how you can contribute to the Authortube Writing Conference. The first is what Margaret said, which is to get this form, this contribution form. That's if you have something you want to offer, like a gift card or book or what, all the things that she said. You also have, like with what Margaret said, if you want to be a sponsor. So then you would get in touch with our sponsorship coordinator, but you could just email us at the Authortube Writing Conference. We'd get the connection going there. And then the last, I will pass off to Devin.
All right. So there is one other way that you guys can give us a hand with the costs and everything for running the website, whatever, and that is through our Ko-fi. So, or tip jar. Tip jar, Ko-fi, interchangeable. There's even a bar up there so you can see how far we are away from covering
sort
the
of.
costs.
That is from 2024's AWC. So that's how much I have not been, like, those are the costs of what I've paid into the AWC that has not been recouped through so far, I guess. What I've not included in there is the cost for the 2025 AWC. I have not put that in there yet. So
because it did increase.
It did. And I get charged every August. So I've already been charged another year for the website, and that went up to $190 something. So yeah, so that's not in there.
Goal
So
will be
there's a bar there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Margaret.
Oh, I just said the goal will be changing soon once it's edited, and then you'll get to roll. I mean, I actually really love when people do thermometers for like school fundraisers because you can see the temperature going up, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll make one of those for back here for AWC, like just to raise awareness, because I think we had one year where we did meet the goal, and then last year we didn't, because I think there were so many other things that were new that were like exciting to feature that I think Ko-fi just took a back seat. But yeah, we do need to pay the expenses for doing all this community work. So there you go. If you can throw a few dollars into the Ko-fi, we appreciate it.
Have any more questions?
All right. We have a couple more comments, but I don't see any more questions. Sam said that the demos were a great addition.
Nice.
Jordan says, I can imagine you wonderful women, but that is hard and can be frustrating. But you were able to simplify it, and hopefully this worked. Hopefully it does work. Yeah.
Crossing fingers, Jordan. Thanks for coming by. So, lots of links in the chat to go back through and check out. The guide will take a little bit of time to go through and make sure you know everything. Or if you have questions, feel free to ask. Yeah.
So I think our next live will probably be when applications open, unless we want to do like any other little announcement videos.
Sounds good. I don't think I heard about your most recent project, Shannon or Devin, when you did your intro. So do you want to include that when you outro so people know what you're working on?
You go first, Shannon.
Yeah, so I finished my novel that was in progress, Cursive Wings and Gems. I was completed at 193. I've got down to 180. But I think on Wednesday, I just had like 3 crying spells over it because I don't think I'm strong enough writer to write the storyline that's there. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm still working on it. I've got beta readers, but I'm doing chapter by chapter. One beta reader likes it. Most everybody else is confused. So that tells me too that the story is not very good. But
Oh boy, that's rough.
it was supposed to be a Kickstarter. I've been saying I'm going to do it in October, but if I can't, then it'll be next year. But in perusing BookFunnel last night, there is a group promo for Kickstarters for fantasy romance happening in November. And I'm like, maybe I can do November. That'll give me more time to revise and get the story where it needs to be. Because I don't think I have enough time to get it revised enough to make it the story it's supposed to be by October.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that I've ever heard the term, but if I'm going to take right to market and make it like right to promo, they do motivate you. They do motivate you to like make a deadline if you want to be part of a big promo. Yeah. Well, I hope that works out. How about you, Devin?
My book 2 is with the copy editor, and I will be finishing up my 0 draft for book 3 starting in October. So that's like my major thing going on.
Nice.
Are you still got your beta read open too for your book?
My beta read is open, and I will be uploading the free copy edit chapters to Ream Stories as well.
Okay. For the free for followers, or is that at a paid subscription level?
That one is the paid subscription, but if you message me, I will send you a link for 1 year free for all tiers of my Ream Stories.
You heard it here. Nice. The new indie creed, right to promo. I mean, yeah, hard to pass up those great opportunities.
Yes, I'm excited for her. So I've started. I'm a beta reader. I've started it. I'm to finish the 3rd or 4th chapter, but I was like really starting to get into it.
Nice. Nice.
Right to promo.
Yeah.
What about
you, go ahead.
Oh, what about you, Margaret? What are you working on? I mean, you did say you have your book that you're publishing this fall, but
yes. So I just got it back from the editor. Yeah, I got to make up my plan for final edits. So I've got one plot thing and one language thing that I got to iron out, and then all the other planning and promo marketing stuff, which is great.
And that's Christy Stratos, right? Who you used as
you just returned it to me yesterday.
Yeah. Which, we just did our last podcast interview for the self-publishing tips and tricks. I'm on that as a co-host with Morgan Lee and Ben Pick from Running to Write. Morgan Lee is leaving us because of schedule changes. So we did a last special episode for December 15th. But we took that time to celebrate what we've learned about over the podcast years, working together and everything like that. And I didn't know, but that Ben from the podcast, he learned about Morgan being an editor, so she's one of his editors.
Right.
He also learned, because we had Christy Stratos on there, he says, I also got Christy Stratos as my editor, which if I wasn't here on the podcast, I would have never known. But there you guys go.
Oh,
yeah, which nice. I didn't know that he was using Christy because of the podcast. So
yeah. That's cool.
It's gonna be a really great episode. That'll be December 15th is when that's coming out. So
that's the last one.
The last one for this season, but it's the last one for Morgan. It was our way to commemorate her time on this podcast and a chance for her to say goodbye to everybody. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You're planning everything in advance. Well done. Sarah Cannon. Yes. Jordan, we do mean Sarah Cannon. I love her book. She's amazing and brilliant. Yes. Well, that's all you'll find here at the AWC. So there you go. Excellent note to end on.
And her mission, if you've been on her YouTube channel, Heart Breathings, because she also has a Sarah Cannon YouTube channel. Her Heart Breathings is all about community and working together and helping each other out, which I think is part of what the AWC represents. So
yeah. Well said. So I don't think we have any more questions. I think this is a great first stream, everybody. Everyone in the chat, welcome back for 2025, and glad to see new faces as well. And we hope to see you along for the journey and hear your great ideas very soon. Thanks, everybody.
Strike a pose.